He's back to pass. Pressure coming. He's going to get hit in the end zone. That's going to be a safety.
It's now time for Gridiron, State of the Union.
Another touchdown, Porter Ridge, and they've gone up. The score is 23-17.
Presented by DMR Reconstruction, North Carolina's leader in quality insurance restoration services, with crews on standby 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. DMR Reconstruction has your restoration needs covered. Give them a call at 704-327-4028.
He's going to hand it off to Byram. Byram on the right-hand side. He's going to be into the end zone. Touchdown, Monroe.
Gridiron State of the Union is your insider's look each week into Union County High School football.
Malcolm fires one off, and it's into the end zone. Touchdown, Piedmont.
Now we head into the DMR Reconstruction Studio and your host, Brian Stevenson.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Rivalry Night edition of Gridiron State of the Union. I'm your host, Brian Stevenson. It's the final week of the regular season and some huge games that will determine conference champions. A Porter Ridge win against Rocky River, and they have a share of the Southwestern 4A crown. So much for a rebuilding year. And a Sun Valley win at Anson, and they will win their first ever outright conference championship in football. By the way, they've been playing football since 1961. But the most storied rivalry game in Union County, Forest Hills and Monroe, will determine the Rocky River champion tonight, and that's where we start our trip around Union this week with Sideline Mike, who will be calling the action on WIXC in just a little while.
In Union County, the rivalry doesn't get any bigger than the matchup between Monroe and Forest Hills. Both teams come into tonight's game undefeated in conference play. Last week, the Red Hawks won easily 48-8 on the road at West Stanley. Sophomore quarterback Zephaniah Wall was 9 for 10 passing and 197 yards with 4 touchdowns. And Trayshawn Wynn had 5 carries for 95 yards. That's 19 yards per carry. Their opponent tonight didn't have an easy game last week. The Jackets squeaked by Central Academy 16-14. The game was tied until a late safety gave Forest Hills the lead, and a Kendrick Barino interception sealed it for the Yellow Jackets. Tonight, a rivalry is renewed. With everything on the line, Monroe goes for their third straight conference title, while the Jackets try to end the streak and get above 500 for the first time this season. Join us tonight for the 7:30 kickoff as our WIXC Game of the Week. That's the story from Monroe, and now to Reed Alexander, who has Game 2 of our doubleheader, Piedmont at Cuthbertson.
Piedmont and Cuthbertson are both coming off losses last week. The Panthers hung with Weddington but fell 20-14. Piedmont was down 20-7 in the fourth quarter and scored a touchdown to pull within 6. But that's as close as they would get. Their opponent tonight, Cuthbertson, also had a tough loss last week to Sun Valley, 30-24. The Cavaliers outplayed the Spartans for most of the game, but a late surge gave Sun Valley the lead and sent Cuthbertson to their third straight loss. If the Cavaliers win, they become playoff eligible with their fourth win. Piedmont, on the other hand, is playing for win number 8. The Panthers have not lost 2 games in a row all season. Stick around for this one as game number 2 in our WIXC doubleheader. That's the story from Cuthbertson, and now to Bruce Brzane with a report on Marvin Ridge.
Marvin Ridge made the most of senior night last week with a win over Anson County, 15-7. The win broke a 6-game losing streak and was a bright spot in what has been a difficult season. The Mavericks' only other win came in Week 3 versus Pender County. Tonight they try to take down rival Weddington and get 2 wins in a row. The Weddington Warriors are hoping for a win combined with a Sun Valley loss to get a share of the Southern Carolina crown. The Warriors are hoping to get back quarterback Jeff Welch, who sat out last week with a concussion. That's the story from Marvin Ridge. And now to Jeff Weiss, who's with Central Academy.
The Central Academy Cougars are trying to bounce back from a heartbreaking loss to Forest Hills last week. The Cougars had a late safety that cost them the game. A win tonight, though, would give Central 4 wins on the year and make them playoff eligible. Their opponent, Parkwood, has lost 3 straight. They already have the 4 wins required to make the playoffs. That's the story from Rough Edge, and now to Chris Rogers, who has a report on Sun Valley.
The Sun Valley Spartans have a chance to make history tonight. Since the school was founded in 1961, the Spartans have never won an outright conference championship in football. That could all change tonight. Tonight, Anson County is the only thing standing in Sun Valley's way. Last week, Sun Valley remained perfect in conference play after a comeback win against Cuthbertson 30-24. Running back Albert Funderburk ran 24 times for 236 yards and had 2 touchdowns, including an 80-yard sprint right up the middle for a score. Spartans had a scary moment, though, in that game when quarterback Drew Swoop was taken off the field in the ambulance after a hit early in the first half. The good news is Swoop is going to make a full recovery, but will more than likely be out for tonight's contest against Anson County. The Spartans can't overlook the Bearcats, who suffered a tough defeat at Marvin Ridge last week. That's the story from Wadesboro, and now off to Derek Skinner, who has a report with Union Academy.
Union Academy comes into the last week of the season at 5-4. Last week, the Cardinals lost to Albemarle 29-6. The loss dropped UA to 4-3 in the conference. Their opponent tonight is North Stanley. The Comets are 7-3 overall and 5-2 in the conference. A win for Coach Brad Hoover's Cardinals would move them into the top tier of the conference, which would help with playoff seeding. That's the report from New London. And now to a man who won't even let a knee replacement and a hospital bed keep him from filing his report on Porter Ridge.
Despite a blowout loss to Butler 2 weeks ago, the Porter Ridge Pirates could walk away with a share of the Southwestern 4A crown. Last week, the Pirates had no trouble with East Meck winning 41-13. That win, combined with the Rocky River loss last week, sees the 4-way tie for first in the conference standings. Few people gave Porter Ridge a chance to contend at the beginning of the year, but tonight is senior night, and a win against Rocky River gives them a share of the title. That's the report on Porter Ridge, and now back to the studio and Brian Stevenson.
Thanks a lot, Ken. Dedication, knee replacement, and still gets his report in. That's our trip around Union for this week, and when we come back on Gridiron State of the Union, we'll be talking to Sideline Mike about the big game, Monroe versus Forest Hills. That's coming up in just a moment.
Hey folks, Shane here. If any of you have ever played high school football, the number one thing you want to do is win the game. You're going to find yourself in the red zone on occasion. That's that final 20-yard stretch between you and 7 points, or between you and a victory, or between you and a defeat. Now, you're only as good as your quarterback. So let's imagine that damage to your home is the red zone. You got fire damage, water, wind, or mold damage. Who do you want on your team, and who do you want the quarterback to be? Well, the team you want is DMR Reconstruction. Tim Farmer is easily the quarterback you want calling the plays in this situation. Folks, they'll help you deal with the insurance adjusters. They'll take care of the damage. They'll fix it back to way better than it was before it ever even happened. It's DMR Reconstruction. Tim Farmer's your quarterback. They are the leader in the red zone. They'll take care of the problem. They'll help you deal with the insurance adjuster 24 hours a day. Call 704-327-4028. 327-4028. They're the proud sponsors of the Gridiron State of the Union on the Mighty 1190.
Welcome back to Gridiron State of the Union. Now time for our roundtable segment, and Sideline Mike is joining me tonight. And Sideline, you have the big call tonight, Monroe and Forest Hills. It's always a great game, and this time they come in undefeated, both teams playing for a title.
I tell you what, there's a lot of meaning in this one. This rivalry goes back all the way to the fall of 1966. They took a couple of years off, but this will be the 40th time these two teams have met up. Forest Hills leads the series 21-18, and after a slow start, they're vying for a Rocky River Conference championship against Monroe in Monroe. It's certainly going to be a big game.
What is it like for that high school fan out there listening just to be in the stadium for one of these games?
There's a lot of pride that's on the line, and the atmosphere is so thick between these two teams that you can cut it with a knife, but sportsmanship's always well maintained. These two teams have a lot of respect for one another, and you can feel that in the stands as well.
There's something very significant happening tonight. If Sun Valley wins against Anson County, it will be the first time in their history that they've won an outright football championship. That almost seems unimaginable.
It certainly does, especially considering the last 10 years over at the Valley, the way that they've gone under former head coach Scott Stein. You made the mention that Coach Paul Hall comes in. He's the new coach, and everybody's kind of wondering what are we going to see out of the Spartans. And as you said, vying for the outright championship for the first time ever in their history. They've had a lot of championships, including last year, but this will be the first time they've won an outright football championship. Could be a very big night for the Spartans.
Everybody tune in tonight. In just a little while, Sideline Mike and Shane have the call of that Monroe Forest Hills game. You guys have a great night out there. We'll be right back with the Coach's Corner segment. Gridiron State of the Union. We'll be back in just a moment.
Shane here. Imagine this. It's the end of the game. 5 seconds left. You're in the red zone. You have a chance to call one play. You're either going to win or lose the game with this play. All right, at this point, who do you want your team to be and who do you want your quarterback to be? Imagine the red zone is damage to your home. Fire, water, wind, or mold damage. You want DMR Reconstruction as your team, and you want Tim Farmer as your quarterback because he has a darn near perfect completion ratio when he's in the red zone. Folks, they'll call the right play every time. They'll come in, they'll take care of the problem, they'll help you deal with the insurance adjusters, and your home is going to look better than it ever has before. So if you're in the red zone with your home, and it's fire, water, wind, or mold damage, you need the team that can win the game. It's DMR Reconstruction. 704-327-4028, 327-4028. Available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They're the proud exclusive sponsor of the Gridiron State of the Union on the mighty 1190.
Welcome back to Gridiron State of the Union, and I'm joined now by Coach Johnny Sal of the Monroe Redhawks. And Coach, tonight is what you play for, a conference championship on the line. Tell me how your Redhawks have practiced this week.
Well, similar to the way it was last year, we were loose, a lot loose. Kids are moving around, having a good time, and we're just ready to go.
Coach, you went through a couple of losses, and arguably you're playing tougher competition. I know that's by design, but you made some switches in there. Talk about some of the changes you made, especially quarterback. And I know you went through some injuries, but tell me how the season's progressed from that point up until now.
Well, we knew coming in day one that we had to establish a quarterback, and we went through 3 guys, and we ended up staying with the freshman. He got hot at the right time for us, and we stuck with him, and he's been with us since, and we feel good about that.
I was going to say, because you guys haven't always had that luxury, how good does that feel as a coach to know those guys are right ready to step in when one of their teammates goes down?
Oh, that's big time, big time. We're not used to it, so it's playing out good for us right now. We got a couple guys that got banged up a little bit last week against West Marion, but, we got guys that were there, either rotating with them or they came back from injury, so we're in pretty good shape right now.
Well, I know the games don't get any bigger, the rivalries don't get any bigger than Monroe and Forest Hills. Before we talk about tonight's game, let's just talk about that rivalry, and you've been a part of this pretty much your whole life. So tell me about getting together with the Jackets each and every year.
Well, they're going to bring their best. We're going to bring our best, and that's at the time when you just take the records and throw them out the window. It's going to be a rivalry game just like it is. The first 5 or 6, 7 minutes, those teams going to come out and play hard. I don't expect anything less, and we told our kids that. They're going to come out, they're going to punch you in the face. You got to go out and do the same thing, and I think you're going to see that.
Well, tell me about, you talked a little bit about that, what you've told your guys tonight. What are the keys to victory tonight for the Monroe Redhawks as they take on Forest Hills?
Well, the biggest thing, and it should be on both sides, you can't turn the ball over. You definitely can't do that. You can't turn the ball over, and you got to play sound defense and no mistakes in offense. We got to try to win the special team battle. So you include all those things that mistakes, special team, offense, defense, we got to be solid in all 4 categories.
Thanks a lot, Coach Johnny Sal, for being our Coach's Corner guest tonight. Time now for our UCPreps.com Phenomenal 5. Coming in at number 5 is Piedmont, number 4, Weddington, number 3, Porter Ridge, number 2, Sun Valley, and number 1, Monroe.
Time for Extra Points.
In my Extra Points tonight, in last week's Sun Valley-Cuthbertson game, Sun Valley quarterback Drew Swoop had to be taken off of the field in an ambulance in what looked to be a very serious injury. I was really impressed by the sportsmanship the fans, players, and coaches gave during that very scary moment. I saw a lot of prayers being spoken as I looked around the stadium, and everyone was quiet and respectful during a very tough time. And I'm glad to report that those prayers were answered. I'm told that Drew will make a full recovery. And with that, we are all out of time. Special thanks to our title sponsor, DMR Reconstruction, and thank you for listening. We have examined the state of our union, and I can report it is good. Good night, everybody.